Welcome to another episode of the Brand X Podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Deuce as usual.
Of course you're Deuce as usual. Stowe, everybody on social media hasn't calmed down yet. Still, everybody over there very jumpy. Wouldn't you think that's, would you concur, sir?
Well, things on my end of social media are just kind of quiet because, you know,
that's because
I know you're the one that's having the action drama suspense. So you kind of like that. My weekend was pretty nice. I don't know how your weekend went.
Well, so. I mean, my weekend was nice, and I've just come to the conclusion now that I'm done with all this nonsense. And if people want to tag me as a racist, homophobe, schizophobe, xenophobe, all these other phobes that I have no idea what they are, then let them, because I know who I am, and I'm none of that. You know, I am who I am. I'm not a racist. I'm not a homophobe. All right. And even if I break their balls, we're allowed to break balls.
So did you fight with anyone over the weekend? Because we just went out for dinner and stuff like that. We went to Maryland. We took a road trip Saturday, Diane and I, and with three other couples from the club. Probably
so you took three separate cars.
We took 4 Corvettes. There was 4 couples. We went to Maryland, went to a nice seafood restaurant. Of course, I had steak. And,
I was going to say, why go to a seafood restaurant?
Yeah, they have filet mignon, so it was all good.
I've never been a big fan of eating steak in a seafood place or seafood in a steakhouse.
It was the first time that I was there, and we heard about it. We got the invitation about a week ago, and I said, yeah, sure, why not? And the day started off at 70. And by the time we finished dinner at 6:30, because the reservations were at 3, we walked out at like maybe 6:15, and the wind was whipping.
What a surprise!
And the temperature plunged from like 70 when we walked in to about like 40, like that fast. It was like incredible. And then of course it's just been, today I don't think it got much above 40 degrees.
Well, the wind. It's the wind. I mean, my trash cans were out in the field.
Oh, migrating.
Yeah, they were migrating. They were heading out of town.
Migratory trash can syndrome.
Yes, they are. And so, and of course, the Jimmy, I get a call.
It's the Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy, what do you do? It's the Jimmy.
Yeah, what do you want? Your trash, don't drive your truck away. Your trash cans are underneath the truck. Okay, like I wouldn't know that when I walked out. I wouldn't have walked out and seen the trash cans up against the side of my truck. So Thank God my truck was there.
He's going all Captain Obvious on you, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Captain Obvious.
I was still clicking around that soundboard. Eyes are darting around.
Yeah, the old.
That's exactly what that is. That's exactly what I'm doing when that's happening, because I'm like clicking boards. Where is it? Then I know
it's always funnier here because your eyes are darting left or darting right. The mouse is moving.
It's like I'm trying to catch a fly with a pair of chopsticks.
You do the old bite the lower lip thing, like where's it at?
Like a white guy dancing.
It's just it's like, because in your head this is what you're hearing. Where's that sound effect? Where's it at?
What's going on over here? I know. That's exactly what it's like. Did you hear any feedback from our show? Did anybody say anything to you? I don't know if the guys at the guys in the break room, did they say anything about this?
The last one? No, I did not, but that's probably because you released it late Thursday night.
Right.
Because you just can't contain yourself.
I misclicked.
Yeah. Yeah, tell that to the guy that pumps gas in your car. Don't tell it to me. And then the next day at work, I was in an out-of-the-way isolated zone. And this was our weekend off. So I go back to work tomorrow, Tuesday. I was off Saturday, Sunday, and today. So,
well, I don't know why we do this on Monday. Well, you probably, I don't like trying to take up your weekends.
Well, no, I don't mind doing it now. It's easier this way.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm off today, so I do it now. And then next Tuesday I'm off, so we'll do it then.
Right.
It's actually easier for, I don't know about you, but it's all about me and my needs. But it's easier for me on Monday because you have your mastermind meeting.
Right.
And then Tuesday, it kind of like condenses the amount of time that I have to do the artwork.
Right.
So I kind of like it on Monday because it does give me that extra day.
Well, I would do it Monday every day, but you can't on the one weekend because you're working Monday. We can't do it every Monday.
Well, if I did it, Monday I have my union meeting.
The
which
real
is
union meeting, or the one that you guys go out with
the
guys?
real union meeting where we go
Okay.
out and drink beer and have fun and laugh,
That's the
fart,
real
and
union
carry on and snap
okay.
tails at each other. And so that's why we don't do it every single Monday. So, and also we have the union meeting Monday because it's half price pitchers of beer and buffalo wings.
Where's this at?
It's a secret location that I cannot tell you. No, I'll tell you. I'll
All
tell
right,
you.
tell me off. Don't tell me now. Well,
Yeah,
who's
I'll
gonna-
tell you off mic.
The 50 people that are listening to this thing, and none of them are around here, so I don't think they'll all show up trying to
Yeah,
find
she's
it.
gonna come migrating in from Texas and New York. Like,
Maybe
"Oh, we gotta go."
maybe dude from the last podcast, he might come down looking for us.
Yeah, so that's why that podcast is not done on that Monday.
All right. Well, if you want to know about the last podcast, I got into a social media rift. Right. And with a couple friends of mine, and it kind of got out of hand. So I did a rant, and if you want to listen to the podcast, it's actually one of our most downloaded ones, to be quite honest with you. It tripled the amount of downloads than our normal podcast does.
I think it was the pink background. Or
Well,
was-
I wasn't really. I got to be honest with you.
I think it was the content.
But you had like a pink background and you had like purple letters, and I was like, I'm trying to read. I'm like, what? Trying to read. Maybe we should try to contrast this up a little bit more. I don't know. What do I know? Well, listen, I'm no art student, for the love of God. So so I had a rift with with a couple of people, and I took to the I took to the podcast to vent, and I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm going to put this out. I wonder if they're going to say anything, because although Ace Queen Pro has unfriended me, I got you. I thought somebody would say something. So anyhow, I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden my notification goes off on Messenger, and it's dude, and he goes, "I'm enjoying your latest podcast." So I go, "Well, it's not for everyone." And then he said, "I'm laughing. I'm enjoying your storytelling." So he says, he said that. Well, I said, although I was a little rough on Ace Queen Pro, he goes, "Yeah, a little rough." He said, "Well, you didn't really get the story quite right." Just so anybody knows, this isn't a factual podcast. Like, we try to get it right, but it's not really, like, if I miss a detail or two, I'm not going to worry about it. So, also, dude's not a Hillary supporter. He was behind Johnson all the way, and I never knew that. I was shocked. So, so I guess there's no real blowback from that. And I listened to Bad Cop, and it sounded like Jerry was going to do a segment of the podcast on that, but they got into ask grabbing and talking about other stories, and then it got to the end of the podcast, and then they got into it briefly, and then Dave realized that it was his birthday, and he never got any Facebook birthday wishes.
Yeah,
and then they kind of tailed off. They kind of tailed off into something else, which was fine. But I wanted to hear. I really kind of wanted to hear his take on that, because he was kind of involved in all that.
Yeah, well, he saw it in real time.
Oh yeah,
I came in way in after the fact.
right, exactly. And my ex-wife listened to it, and she didn't think it was funny. She thought I was mean. And my oldest daughter thought it was hysterical. So I mean, you never know who's going to like it and who's not going to like it. Who's going to think it's funny?
Yeah, you do the best that you can.
And listen, it was from the heart, and I thought the sound effects added something to it. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to it, go back to the last episode. I think you'll like it. The beginning. I think that's all we really talked about.
Yeah, you came out like shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, well, the social
we
media.
we did a little bit of news.
We did do a little bit of news, but the whole thing about social media, it's just like everybody. It's just crazy.
It's still a mess. I mean, at least on where I play, which
we
is
got a
Facebook.
president now. We got a president now that sits there at night and tweets out, what he doesn't like, and like he attacks people.
Like the rest of the country.
Yeah, like the rest of the country. But the problem is he's the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. Well, not yet, but he will be. Mm-hmm. And people don't know how to handle that. I got to tell you, I don't know how to handle that either. It's like, dude, you shouldn't be doing this. Well, why not? I don't know, but you're the president. I don't think the president should be doing this. Well, why not? I really don't need to know that much about you. I really don't need to know, because when you're on social media, it kind of brings out your personality. I shouldn't say that, because everybody can be a fake on social media, but not him. He comes out he comes out swinging. And to be honest with you, even though I say he shouldn't be doing it, I went and looked at it. Matter of fact, we're going to have a segment later on, And I think it's going to be a segment we do every week. It's going to be called Presidential Tweets, where we go over to the real Donald Trump and we kind of read his tweets and discuss them and see what we think. I'm thinking about doing some segments around here now. Segments. More than one.
Segments.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm just living rent-free inside of your head now. This is what I do.
Well, it's just, I guess what happens for me, it's like you have all this social media. I don't know what to do. I mean, it's like you have LinkedIn, you have Twitter, you have Facebook.
Is LinkedIn still a thing?
Not for me. To me, to be honest with you, LinkedIn is like...
How do you get out of LinkedIn if it's
you go in there? I tell you what, it's an expedition. You need a miner's helmet.
Yeah, I mean,
you need a flashlight.
I joined that in my last industry, and I left that job in 2010 and forgot about it. And like every once in a while, like I get a notification, and I've gone in there, and I, for the life of me, cannot find out. Not that I spend a whole lot of time. I go all John on it. I go, oh, shiny, and I run away because I just get tired of it. I have no idea like how to look, link out of it and deactivate the account or whatever. Because I'm not in that industry no more. There's no reason for me to even be in there.
Well, they should really rename LinkedIn to Nerd Book, because LinkedIn is where business people go to be social. Mm-hmm. And, they don't really, it's like a bunch of salesmen in like
right when it started,
jackets and a flowered tie.
Well, when it first started, when I joined it, it was helpful, especially for me. I covered 4 states.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So, you kind of needed that lead and like, hey, does anyone know about Fred Hemslaw in West Bygott, Virginia? And then oh yeah, and they would give you like the heads up on the guy, and it was helpful. But like I said, I left the industry. I have no need for that for what I do now. So, and then
the whole thing at LinkedIn is everybody's in there and they're all trying to be noticed. It's everybody going around going, look at me, look at me. Look at me over here. Look at me.
Oh, you mean like Facebook and Twitter?
Oh, yeah, it's all. Yeah, it's all. That's what all social media is. Look at me. Look at me. I had eggs for breakfast. Look at me. Look at me. I got a free cup of coffee because an NFL team won, and I have an app on my phone. That's it. I mean, I didn't tackle anyone. I didn't throw a pass. I didn't catch a ball. A team won. I have an app on my phone. I got a free cup of coffee, and I'm letting you know about it. Mm-hmm. Look at me. Look at me. I did this or I did that, and I'm telling you. I mean, that's basically what Facebook, Twitter.
I wonder which one is the worst. As far as the effect. I mean, as far as being, detrimental in the negativity department.
I would go with Facebook because you can do so much with Facebook. Like Twitter, you only got 140 characters. Mm-hmm. So you can only do, but you can put a link in something. So
but do they have the administrators like Facebook has, like what happened to you where you get shut out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you complain, bitch, moan, and cry enough, they'll go in there and they'll shut you down.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then one guy, he was running for a Republican committeeman here in this town, and he hated a reporter, and he was going in there and says, "I hope someone rapes you, and I hope
Well, that's a little beyond the pale, but
you think?
Wow.
So then they go, "Oh my God, look at this!" And he goes, "Oh, my account was hacked." So
yeah, well, that's like the Anthony Weiner,
Right. Well, you go back 6 months and the guy's still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You mean your account's been hacked for 6 months?
And you didn't know? Yeah. They just hope that they're buying time. It's so stupid because they will find out. They'll find out. They'll research this. They'll get to the bottom of it. So whenever somebody gets in trouble and they do the old my account was hacked bet, it only buys them like maybe 2 days. And then they say, bullshit. Right. They find out. So
yeah. Well, and then also, it depends. See, like Facebook, the kids were on Facebook, and then the adults came in, and then the kids were like, "We're not hanging out here." Mm-hmm. So they all headed for the hills. They went to Snapchat, Twitter. What's that other one? Instagram. They do. There was the other one. It's like a blog. I can't think of the name of it now.
I don't know much about Instagram. I'm not on it.
Right. Okay.
But it I don't know. It seems to
see that would be right up your alley because it's all pictures.
But I don't put very many pictures of myself up.
But like if you would have took pictures of any, back in the day. See, when you were younger and you were taking, photography was your thing, mm-hmm. was your hobby. You would have loved Instagram because you could have put pictures of everything you took. Like just for example, when we went to Tioga, you wouldn't put us in there, but the pictures you took of the canyon and you know, hiking and stuff like that.
The lakes.
Right. But still, you know, you might not put you in there, but you would put us. It's look at me. See, we didn't get to look at me as we are now. I guess we're getting into that now.
I guess because I know it seems like a lot of the people that post stuff on Instagram, it automatically goes to their Facebook account.
Well, you set that up that way.
Yeah, they deliver it that way.
Yeah, there's a way to
and
share
I
it.
see the majority of at least the people that I'm friends with, it's selfies. So that's why I guess I kind of got that skewed image of Instagram that it's for the very self-absorbed.
See, for us as a podcast, you know, the way we do a podcast, you go through all the stuff, and now you get this podcast out, and you go, okay, I need somebody to listen to it. Well, how do I let anybody know about it? Well, you tell two friends or whatever, and you got 50 people, but you want to get more, so you need to go to a social media place. And
right, you got to spread that umbrella.
Right, you got to spread that umbrella. You got to move it all. You got to, shake that stuff around. So Instagram is a good place to put the episode art, and they use the hashtags to kind of bring people in. I don't know too many people that search hashtags. I mean, I do now to find other podcasts, but it's tough. Like I said, podcasting isn't the technology. It's not that easy. I mean, it can be easy once you get it down and you're moving along. And podcasting does take some work. It takes time. Not going to lie to you. Each episode takes me about 6 to 8 hours to do. That's from start to finish. That's from gathering content, putting it up here, doing the recording, doing the editing. You do the artwork for the episode, which is great. Then I got to do the show notes, and I got to upload everything, and then
the promotion end of it.
Yeah, and then you got to promote it, which is tough. And that's where we really need, us as a podcast, we really need to start doing better promotion. But, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, because the Podern family, they're going to be 1 year old, December 1st.
1 year anniversary.
World AIDS Day.
Right.
And
we needed that.
And they want a 5-minute clip of us, a promotion of what the Podern family means to us, and why we like the Podern family and what do we get out of it. So we're going to do that live, because we always say we're going to do a promo, we don't. And we have to do it this week, and I want to be in there because I like the Podern family, and we're just going to do this live. So anyhow, the media, the social media aspect of everything, you just can get out there and just say whatever you want. And you're basically shielded, except sometimes you get hurt. Your feelings are hurt. You get your feelings hurt. So I guess this is going to be a little bit more of a social media themed show. I mean, we have some other stuff, but why don't we get into that whole Podern family thing?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Why don't we do that? All right, here we go. The Podern family promo. All right, so what is the Podern family? The Podern family is a bunch of independent podcasters like us who come together to help support and promote each other's independent podcasts. So there are podcasts out there that are big media companies, Gimlet, NPR, WNYC, and they have a bunch, like their shows, their radio shows, and they have like a team of people producing these shows. But independent podcasters like us and other shows, it's just you and I, Deuce. It's just the two of us.
Right.
We don't have a team producing these shows, and we do this as a labor of love.
We're an army of two.
Right. And we just want to do, we put this out there, and hopefully it entertains. We just want to entertain. We want to make people laugh. We want you, if you're driving somewhere or you're sitting somewhere and you're working or doing something, we just want this to kind of be the background music, and maybe you'll get a chuckle out of it. And that's what the Podern family does. We just come together, and we usually promote each other's shows on Twitter, and it started as a hashtag on Twitter, hashtag Podern family. So if you go to Twitter and you search the hashtag Podern family, you won't just find this podcast, but you'll find all kinds of podcasts, whether it's Three is Comedy with Jason, Bob, and Mindy, Bad Cop with Jerry and Dave, Now That I'm Older with Shane Smith and Ken Baldwin, a.k.a. Baldwin Escobar.
Oh, you beat me.
Toe on the Trigger with Daniel and Cassie, Ice in the Face, which is a new one I'm listening to that I really like, with Rick and Sarah. Everyone Has a Podcast with Adam and Byron. And a new podcast a friend of mine's put out, and it's called The Story Behind with Emily. Now, The Story Behind is a really short podcast. It's only like 9, 10, maybe 15 minutes long. And what she does is she did like the story behind hoodies or the story behind gunpowder. Or now this episode this week is the stories behind comic, Sand Comics, the font Sand Comic, or is it Comic Sand? What is that that font? You know what I'm talking about? Looks like a kid wrote it.
Oh, wow, you're getting into, yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, she's going to tell you the story behind that. Right. And somehow it has to do with the Batman cartoon. I haven't got a chance to listen to it yet because it just came out. But, go check it out. It's a great it's a quick little listen. And I haven't even scratched the surface. The Unwritable Rant with Juliet Miranda.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, so, and there's a ton of them out there. And, I'm not into comic books or graphic novels. But if you are, there's a ton of podcasts out there. And I'll have to get some different names of those podcasts. It's just not my thing. I could listen to them, and they probably are good podcasts, but I wouldn't even know what they were talking about, to be quite honest with you.
And that's like anything. There's sports, there's movies. It's like you say, whatever flies your freak flag, you'll find a podcast out there for you.
And to find more podcasts like this, it's easy. Just go to any social media. You go to Facebook, you go to Instagram, you go to Twitter, and just put in #PodernFamily, all one word, and all these podcasts will pop up, and you kind of take a look and see which one you like and check it out. Give it a couple episodes. But the reason why I love the Podern Family was because you feel like you're on an island when you're doing podcasting. You have no idea if anybody's out there. You don't know if anybody's listening. You don't know if anybody's having the same problems you're having. And the #Podern Family, it is a Slack group, and they have a Facebook page, and of course they're on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But
The Twitter.
And basically what happens is if I have a problem or I need a question answered or something like that, I can go to the Slack group and ask a question. And I have a bunch of podcasters there that have probably worked through that problem one way or another and have found an answer to that. Or if someone has problems with their audio quality and they need a hand with some kind of editing or something like that, I could help them with that because that's my wheelhouse. Or maybe, setting something up. That's my wheelhouse. But I got a chance to meet Emily, and I haven't talked to in person, but I've talked to on the Slack group, Shane Smith, and Dave, the husband of Juliet Miranda from the Unwritable Rant. He was on there, said we're his new favorite tattletales. Well, you're not a tattletale. I'm a tattletale. But, I got a chance to meet.
You just can't help yourself.
I can't help myself. I love doing that kind of crap. I'm a ball buster. I'm a self-proclaimed ball buster.
So, yeah. Maybe I better not tell John about this.
What is wrong with you? Why wouldn't you tell me about that?
No, I'm just using it as an example. I don't have anything to tell you right now. What I'm saying
is, why wouldn't you tell me?
Well, because you can't control yourself. Ever since the Ron Henry incident with the email all those years ago, you just...
All right, we'll talk about that later. But anyhow,
who the hell hits reply all? John does that too. Forgot about that, didn't you?
I did forget about that. But anyhow, that's what I love about the Podern Family is it's a bunch of people that are coming together. And I found fantastic podcasts that I am a huge fan of. I love the beginning, the intro of Now That I'm Older. I love the way he does his intro. I hate him because his intro is so good. I'm like, man, that's a great intro. I would love, just I haven't heard of a podcast intro better than Now That I'm Older.
And what's really cool is because toward the end of it is sorry for my shit intro.
Right. Well, it's funny. He told me about that. That was from way back in the day where someone else did an intro and he said that and he just took that piece. That's not him speaking from what I understand.
Really?
And put that in there and that's part of the intro now.
Oh, okay.
And it's part of, so.
Yeah, little inside baseball
there. So that's what I love about the Podern Family. You found from 3 is Comedy, you found out about Toe and the Trigger. And then Bad Cop, Bad Cop. Bad Cop, Bad Cop is my favorite podcast of all time right now.
Yeah, they're hysterical.
As soon as that comes out, as soon as that hits my player, I got to listen to it. But, so it's in 3 is Comedy, and, Now I'm Older, Toe on the Trigger. Ice in the Face is a great podcast. I'm a big fan of that. So, there's all these great podcasts out there, and I'm sick and tired of listening to regular radio because of the commercials, and you can't say anything, and you can't be controversial, and you can't be yourself, and I can't stand it. Independent podcasters speak their mind. They're funny. They don't have to worry about anybody. They're the boss. And that's why I love the Podern Family.
I like the aspect where what we listen to is you get a nice cross section of the country because you've got, Jason, Mindy, and Bob out in California. And then you got Shane and Kenny down in Georgia. And then we got the local guys with Dave and Jerry. They're not that far away from us at all. And you got everything in between, Couple Things podcast, out there in the Midwest. So you get a little bit of flavor.
Right.
And I kind of appreciate that.
Tell you what, we're going to do a podcast with Bad Cop, Bad Cop. We have to. We have to do a crossover one. I got to get a hold of Dave and Jerry and figure this out. And worst comes to worst, I'll grab a mixer, 4 mics, and we'll go find a place. We'll sit down and we'll just record.
Huh. Good news.
That has to happen. That absolutely has to happen. Who else can you talk podcasting with besides me? Exactly.
Good pernt.
Congratulations, Podner family, on being 1 year old. All right.
December the 1st, 1 year old.
Yep.
On Thursday.
Oh, it's Thursday.
Yep.
Okay. Next Thursday.
Right. The Thursday after Thanksgiving. Is
'Cause
Thanksgiving on a Thursday again this year?
Oh, you busted my balls.
I've heard someone ask that question and they were serious as a heart attack.
Really?
Many years ago, yes. Suffice to say, they had blonde hair. So,
And were they of the female persuasion?
yes, they would be. So,
And what do you say to that? You just get
Well,
that stupid look on your face
well,
where
they
you're like,
said it in mixed not mixed company, but there's a bunch of people in the crowd, and we all looked at her as if that was the most brilliant joke on the planet. And then we found out that it was not a joke. And then, of course, it became 10 times funnier. So,
right, exactly. When was it not on a Thursday? You stupid. Never mind.
Yeah, it was like, that's really funny. No, I'm serious. Is it on Thursday?
So, hey, listen, why don't we go see Hamilton the musical?
Yeah. Yeah.
Say that one more time.
You guys try to tell
Say that one more time.
You really fracture words.
I really do. Dude, it's to the point where I'm really thinking about stopping podcasting altogether.
No,
I mean,
you can't do that. That's that's part of your idiom.
But the thing about it is, I know what I want to say, but it just don't want to come out. It's just like,
You know what happens? You're so excited. You just
or I listen to myself.
because I say you got to move. It's a shame that no one sees this because you've got to move when you're coming up to the build up to what you really want to talk about, and like you do this.
My shoulders are going.
You do. You kind of look like Chubby Checker doing the twist. It's
Come
like,
on,
come on,
baby.
baby. It's like, and then I noticed that's when you get all tongue tied. You go,
Come on, baby. Let's do the podcast.
You just got to get this information out so fast you just can't contain yourself.
Now talk and talk and talk. Yeah. Ooh.
Someone's hit rock bottom on their career when you see him perform at the Echelon Mall.
Did you see Chubby Checker at the Echelon Mall?
Yes, I did.
When? It had to be a long time ago because the Echelon Mall's been.
The Echelon Morgue, you mean?
Is that still a mall?
Well, they tore half of it down and they turned the other part into like a yuppie. In fact, the Rodizio is where the J.C. Penney once stood.
I don't even know what the Rodizio is.
Yeah, the Brazilian steakhouse.
I didn't even know they had a Brazilian. I have
Didn't
not
you eat
been
there?
No, when I went to the Brazilian steakhouse. You know who I went to?
You went to Fogo de Chao?
Yeah, but you know who I went there with?
No.
Dude and Ace Queen Pro.
Wow.
We went there to eat.
Did you stab each other?
No, we actually had a great time.
And
then afterwards, we left and we got the meat attacks, and I just about made it home before I had a poo haiku.
Uh-huh.
And, so anyhow, I got home. I just made it into the bathroom. I just made it into the toilet. Kind of looked like with that little video you put on our private Brand X.
Yeah, okay.
Room. Deuce puts in a video of this guy, and it says, "What is this? When you eat Chinese? Oh,
when you discover Indian food."
And the guy pulls his pants down. He bends down, and a stream, 3-inch in diameter stream of shit comes out of his ass.
It was like Mr. Creosote.
It was like it hits the back of the toilet like a fire hose. It goes spraying all over. He's like falls on the floor. It's spraying all over. He must have had like some kind of hose underneath of him or something like that.
I would hope so. Because you would immediately go into a diuretic shock if you were actually to go to the bathroom that way.
It was going up the wall. Should we put it in the show notes?
Well, I guess now we're going to have to put the video on the,
so. To put it in the show notes?
Yeah, so that's
so I just about made it home, and I got into the bathroom. It was like that, and then...
well, before we got onto this shitty topic, we started off with Chubby Checker.
Well, let me finish my shitty topic, and we'll go back to your Chubby Checker.
Okay.
So then they call me back, and they go, Did you have any problem getting us home? Did you have any intestinal distress? I'm like, did I? So then we called that. It went from Fogo to Chow to Fogo to Poo or something like that. I forget what it was. But yeah, so I digress. So that the Brazilian steakhouse, I didn't know there was one over at.
Yeah, it's called the Rodizio, and
Okay.
it's awesome. I've been there a couple of times. We should go there. Get the meat sweats.
Yeah, why don't we go instead of having a steak fest where we cook things? We just get the guys together and go there.
Well, that's what we should do.
We should absolutely do that.
Because that makes sense.
Well, yeah, why cook and clean up and all that stuff when
Right.
you have somebody else do it for you?
But I saw Chubby Checker performing in the court where the water fountain used to be. Yeah. It was probably, I don't think I knew you yet, so it must have been about like 1984, 1985.
Wow. Where am I playing? Where's our next gig? The Echelon Mall.
Yeah.
What?
And then me and Don saw Johnny Rivers at the Echelon Mall, probably about the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was just like, and me being an oldies guy, I was like, wow, this is cool.
So you think maybe 20 years from now, Hamilton the musical will be at the Echelon Mall?
The Echelon Mall's still standing because at the rate they're doing business, they'll probably.
Well, there's no reason for malls anymore except for place for kids to go.
They're played out for the most. I don't know elsewhere in the country, but here on the East Coast, there's, like I said, on my last job, I covered 4 states, and if there was a tobacco store in a mall, I would go in there. And there was only a handful of malls that are doing booming business still. Like King of Prussia Mall, still a booming mall.
Yes.
There's a mall out in Pittsburgh. I forget the name of the mall, but it's like in Monroe. In fact, they filmed the Dawn of the Living Dead there. That's a booming mall. Yeah, for the most part, malls are dead.
Yeah, I mean, why would you go? Well, I guess.
Well, malls are like black cats. You've seen one, you've seen them all. Because there's no... When the malls first opened, like when we were kids, you and I could have a store in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
You could have like, a clothes store or we had the Echelon Tavern. There was an actual bar and restaurant in there. But now they're all the same chains. All the food courts are the same. So like I said, they're like a black cat. You've seen one, you've seen them all.
Right. But I mean, for me, I have everything. I buy everything online.
Well, that's the other thing that kill malls. The other thing is also people... The new thing is like the outdoor outlets, the real upscale ones,
yeah,
like
right.
like the Promenade at Sagemore on Route 73 here in Marlton.
Right.
They're building things like that, and that's what people prefer to go to. And they put a couple of really cool anchor stores in there, like LL Bean, will be one, and and that's what people are preferring. That's killing the malls.
That's the new mall.
Yeah,
The outlets are the new mall.
right.
Because now there's nothing sold in the malls, so all that merchandise has to go back to the outlets where they sell for a cheaper price.
Exactly.
But it's not really a cheaper price. They just mark it up and mark it down.
Well, the outlets are good because what they'll do is they call them closeouts, but what it is basically last year's stuff, but they're still in style. It's not like,
Right.
Especially we're lucky as guys because our stuff stays in style longer because they know men are rational when it comes to clothes.
I got to buy a new pair of sneaks, walking shoes, because my shoes, there's nothing wrong with my shoes, but for some reason, the shoes, I don't know if it's because they got wet or whatever, they smell like a cat pissed in them.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now, it's not, I thought it was my feet.
No, it's because they got wet.
All right. So my socks don't stink, but the shoes stink.
What that is there's nylon. To make the boot, I had a pair of boots for work, and they were real lightweight. They were made by Reebok. Okay, Reebok and Nike have diversified into like boots, but they're basically just sneakers that come up real high, like halfway up your leg, like a boot does. So they're all made out of nylon and that webbing to make them lightweight. And that's why the guys at work were buying them. And they stink, like you said. I mean, they're just awful. And
They don't stink, only their feet stink inside of them.
Well, yeah, but if it gets bad enough, because when you think about a boot, I mean, that's a lot of material in there. Like a sneaker is one thing, but a boot is a lot. And I went back to the traditional leather with the insole, and and they don't smell as bad. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because they just there's nothing you can do to get rid of them.
It's the truth.
That smell, I mean.
I have on my nightstand is a bottle of Febreze. And I'll take the shoes off and I'll shoot them with Febreze. It's supposed to kill any odors.
Yeah.
Don't stand a chance against this odor.
I turned those boots that I was talking about into like my lawn cutting boots, and they still stunk and everything. So I'm not wearing these to work because, I mean, to be quite frank about it, I mean, it smells like piss.
Exactly.
Like, it's really bad. So
Yes.
I had them, and it was like, yeah, you know what? It was like the end of the summer or whatever. And I kicked them off and I left them like in my shed. And they were out there all winter long. And I came out there in the spring. Oh, there's my boots. And they still smell like piss. So it's just like.
Maybe it's the way they manufacture them. Maybe over there in China.
No, I think it's the nylon. Because you think about it, you really can't throw them in the washing machine.
All right, well, go with me on this. Just think
Okay.
about they're over there and they go, oh, those men, they wear them shoes forever. They never buy a new pair. I got it. We put a thing and make smell like piss. And in 3-4 days or 3-4 months, he smell like piss. It'd take them 6 months, can't stand it, go buy new shoes. I think my...
I knew it, you should take something.
Exactly. I think my Asian imitation went from that to Cheech and Chong, to be quite honest with you.
She named names.
She named names. They wear their shoes too long.
Yeah.
They need to get new boots.
Yeah, they're nasty smell. I know exactly what you're talking. And everybody at work pretty much gave up on them at the same time. So it was like,
Who's wearing the stinky boots?
right? Well, it was you get a bunch of like 8-9 guys in the break room, and you're all wearing the same shitty, smelly, stinky boots. It's
Dude.
quite overpowering.
Your feet smell like piss.
Well, I walked through the parking lot at work flooded, and I had to walk through the water to get to my car to move it before my car got flooded out.
Mm-hmm.
And I got there just in time. Some people, the water got, because they were driving smaller cars, they were lower to the ground, and the water went right under the door sill. They had like 6-7 inches of water on their floorboards.
You might as well just take lighter fluid, spray it all over everything, and set it
Yeah,
on
just
fire.
ignite that son of a bitch.
Right.
But I was lucky I got out there, so I got to my car, and then I had to take my boots off and throw them in the trunk. And then I got in and I drove it to higher ground, and then I just had to wear wet boots the rest of the day. After that, they just never recovered. They just always stunk. There's nothing I could do about it. Febreze, talcum powder.
Nothing works.
No, you're shit out of luck.
Exactly. So anyhow, Hamilton the musical. Any thoughts?
Nah, I really didn't want to talk about this, but I know you're like a bull in a china shop, so I'll let you
I don't
go.
understand why you wouldn't want to talk about this.
Well,
This is
it's more
news of the-
politics. I think people are more.
Oh, okay, so let's talk about it in a non-political way. What do you think? Do you think the guy should have said anything or not?
Can we all get along?
I don't know, Rodney.
I think, there's just no, in a nutshell, when you posted this on Facebook, your friend summed it up nicely. It's no different than Kaepernick doing his little shtick on the 49ers dime. That's not the time. They took advantage of the situation. First off, he got booed coming in at the beginning of the play.
He got booed, and there were some cheers.
He got
There was some boos. I'm not going to lie. Yes.
No, he got booed when he entered. They did that little speech at the end.
I understand that, but no, there's a video of him walking in. And you can hear people cheering, and you can hear people booing. It wasn't just like one straight set of boos.
The other thing is, as actors, you're not supposed to break that fourth wall. So these guys are like totally unprofessional.
The fourth wall
traditional.
You don't play to the crowd.
Right. You stay.
But this
in
was
character.
afterwards when they were all sitting there doing their.
You take the
bows.
curtain call, you take your bow, and you leave. It's all part of it. And do you know how much tickets to that play cost?
I think they're like $125 of tickets.
Yes, again.
$250.
If you wanted to go right now tonight,
250, 275,
they're running.
275,
I
300.
checked it out. They're running right now. The show's booked out until like November
August.
of next year.
Okay.
Something like that.
All right.
If you wanted to go tonight,
Right.
it would cost you anywhere from $590 to close to $2,000.
A ticket? Or
Yeah.
two?
And depending on if you're in the orchestra, if you're in the mezzanine, if you're in the, okay. Now, I looked at the prices for November the 5th of 2017,
Right.
and they're averaging in and around like $600. So now, let's say you and your wife and a couple of other people, your family, you're going to take your family out to the play.
Right.
You're in this now for, about $2,000,
Right.
$2,000+
Okay.
Okay. Did you really go there to hear that, or did you go to see it play?
Well, again, you're right. I didn't go there to hear that.
Right.
But to be honest with you, it wouldn't have bothered me. Listen, the play's over. They're sitting there doing their things, and I'll be honest with you. I don't know how you feel, but I'll tell you how I feel. I thought he was respectful. Some people started to boo, and he said, no booing, no booing. This is all out of love. And he said his piece. And I thought he was very respectful.
What do they think is going to happen? Do they really think that Donald Trump and Mike Pence are going to start herding up, minorities and people of different orientations and kill them?
Yes.
Is that what that's going to really happen?
That's what they think. Well, remember, Mike Pence
they're
thinks,
deranged.
They think that Mike Pence thinks he can pray the gay away. He thinks that if you can convert people to stop sucking dick.
Did you hear about the casting call that they had?
For what now?
All right, this is a story that came out. This is breaking out, and I picked this up, and I'll read this verbatim. Liberals at the Broadway show Hamilton harassed Vice President-elect Mike Pence while he was attending a performance this weekend. It's the same old stupid stuff. In their mind, he's a Republican, so he must be bad. Right. Did you know the show was once accused of racism? They put out a casting call that was exclusionary based on race. They were even criticized by other liberals. CBS New York reported last March Broadway union takes issue with Hamilton casting call for non-white performers. The hottest show on Broadway has won praise for its groundbreaking casting of Black and Latino performers, but now Hamilton may have run afoul of the strict New York City human rights law. At CBS 2's Tony Aiello reported the controversy was sparked by a casting notice posted by the producers of Hamilton, which specifically seeks non-white performers. One critic said Hamilton takes a story that valorizes dead white guys and replaces it with Black, Latino, and multi-ethnic performers playing America's founding fathers. But as the blockbuster musical looks to expand to other cities, the casting notice with its call for non-white performers looks problematic to civil rights attorney Randolph McLaughlin. What if they put an ad out that said whites only need apply, said McLaughlin of the Newman Ferrara law firm. Why African-American, Latino, Asians would be outraged. Maybe the cast of Hamilton should come down off their high horse. Mike Pence is a decent man. He didn't deserve their insult at all. So with this news, it's like pot, meet, kettle.
Okay, so I'll go with that. Basically, what they're doing is they're taking. Again, I really don't know anything about Hamilton. Everybody says,
"Oh, Hamilton was awesome."
Okay, so
man, I don't know about the play.
Okay, so but they're saying the play and there's a musical, and as soon as you say musical, I glaze over. I don't want to. Because who goes into? I mean, to me, musicals are stupid. Because first of all, who breaks? Who's doing something else and they break? Have you ever in your life broke into song over something?
Yeah.
Really?
Happy birthday. Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, you're walking around. And
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Have you ever broken into song?
Well, no, that's part of the theater.
I understand that. So for me, it's just not my cup of tea. Now, if you like musicals and stuff like that, fine. I don't care. But it's basically like the play Blackula, where they took all black actors and they did the play Dracula.
Right, but that was satire. That was on the nose. I mean, you knew what that was.
So what's the difference? What's the difference if they do this? So here's my thing. Now, okay, maybe they shouldn't have said that. Maybe they shouldn't have said it at the time. But does it really require this much of a response from both sides to...
Well, Mike Pence was pretty cool about it.
Yeah, I actually have him on Fox News.
Governor, what did you think of the cast comments, and did you consider it rude?
Well, first off, my daughter and I and her cousins really enjoyed the show. Hamilton is just an incredible production and incredibly talented people, and it was a real joy to be there. And when we arrived, we heard a few boos and we heard some cheers, and I nudged my kids and reminded them that's what freedom sounds like. And
now that's bullshit. What he probably says, the ones that are booing are gay. We'll pray for them later.
Well, I would just basically say that the ones that are booing were Hillary voters. I mean, you're in the belly of the beast when you're in New York City.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Well, not according to Donald. We'll get into
And that's the other thing. Would these actors have the guts to do that in flyover country in those 3,000 counties that went red and say this?
Yeah,
no.
I think they would.
No, they wouldn't, because they wouldn't get any message. They took advantage of their time and their place. And I think it was Van Zandt Who's the guitarist for
Stevens,
Springsteen?
this little Stevie from the E Street Band.
E Street Band. He said it's bullying because the guy never had a chance to respond. So,
Yes.
I mean, they had the floor, they had the medium, they controlled the message. So it's, how can you say it was a conversation as a, oh, well, we were having a discussion? No, you weren't. You were talking down on him.
Well, this is what Van Zandt said. He said, it was the most respectful, benign form of bullying ever, but bullying nonetheless. Van Zandt said on Twitter Saturday, and by the way, human rights must be won, not asked for. When an artist performs, the venue becomes your home. The audience are your guests. It's taking unfair advantage of someone who thought they were a protected guest in your home.
Right. And that's right on the nose.
Many praised the cast for openly addressing the politician who has attempted to institute anti-alphabet soup policies. Alphabet soup is LGBTQ for me. I don't want to go LGBTQ all the time, so I just say alphabet soup policies. Mm-hmm. And has supported conversion therapy in his career. Van Zandt wrote that he disagrees with what Pence represents, but I don't tolerate bullying in any form. So there you go. I just think, like I said, the first thing is everybody goes to social media and they all start, I was offended.
Yeah. It's basically.
I was offended and I have rights.
Whoops. What the hell was all that going on there?
I don't know. You got a festival of sounds going on. So it was just like, it's just, the elections, it's been a long 2 years. I think everyone's played out, but, the media just doesn't want to let go with anything. And here was this cast of Hamilton all too willing to, jump into it. And I know what the play's about, and it's ironic, and I don't want to get into it because it's boring and quite esoteric. But the guy that shot Hamilton is basically the hero of that play, and that's who the actor that did the speaking was. So, yeah, because Hamilton was basically the Donald Trump of his time, in a nutshell.
Really?
Oh, yeah, Hamilton was brilliant.
Wait a minute. You're saying Donald Trump is brilliant?
I said Hamilton was brilliant.
But you said he's the Donald Trump of his time.
He was a big-time businessman. He devised so much in this country. He was absolutely brilliant, and he came from nothing. He was born a bastard.
Okay. I don't know how that is. I don't know how you compare the two, but okay.
Because he was an unstoppable force at his time, and Jefferson and Madison hated him. Washington, and him basically, he got a handle on the debt. I don't want to really get into it, but he founded the Coast Guard. He founded the financial system. He took on this country was $14 million in debt after the Revolutionary War. In 1787, at the time that they ratified the Constitution, $14 million is a lot of money now. You can imagine what it was then. And he brought the credit status of this country up. The Federalist Papers, if you ever heard of them, it was John Jay, James Madison, and Alexander Hamilton. John Jay only wrote 5 of them, and I think Madison wrote 21. There were just 93 of them, I think. So Hamilton wrote them all. He was a host of his own, as Jefferson said. He would stymie Jefferson's party, and they hated him. And Aaron Burr, that's what brought up that duel, and Aaron Burr killed him. And later on, Aaron Burr was brought up on charges of treason in this country. He was trying to sell our interests out to Spain, who controlled west of the Mississippi. We didn't own that yet.
Oh, okay.
And there's a lot going. Yeah, there's a lot. And it's
this
just
history
weird.
lesson brought to you by Deuce.
Yeah, well, it's what I
from
do.
Brand X Podcast.
Yeah, and that's why I said I didn't really want to get into it, but
Well,
it's
I really
just
didn't wanna
ironic because theyese people think they know Hamilton, and they're just basically mannequins that can recite lines. They don't know shit about history.
Okay. Well, they're actors and singers that are performing a play
Yeah,
that was
but
written
like
by
I
somebody else. Okay. So out of that whole controversy, this is why I love Twitter. The hashtag the hashtag Pence a musical, and they misspelled musical, which I was
Musk seal. Yeah, I saw that.
right, so they misspelled
At
it.
first, I thought you misspelled it.
I know. I figured I was going to get some crap out of it.
No, but then I clicked on the attachment.
So I went through the hashtag, and I found some pretty good ones. So Pence a musical. Here we go. How about Antichrist Superstar? The Lion, Lying King. The Grand Wizard of Oz. Huh?
The Grand Wizard of Oz.
Right. The KK King and I. My Fair Lady parts are under attack. The Little Shop of Horrifying White Supremacists. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Your Sexuality. I like that one. Here's one other one I liked. Little Orphan Tranny.
They just remade that recently into a new movie.
Did they really make that?
There's a black cast. I can't think of the actor's name. He was just in the last Spider-Man movie. He played Electro.
Let's see. I didn't watch it.
Why can't I think of his name?
See, because you're getting John's disease. That's what happens with me. When you're hanging out with me and I'm talking, it's like a game show.
Well, I think these winter lagers have a little bit to do with it.
Yeah,
too.
I'm not drinking anything.
Yeah, well, you do this sober. I don't.
Right. So here's like with me, if I'm having a conversation, this is how it goes. This is the other day, and I still can't. Okay, so let's see if this will work. All right, so there was a movie that I was thinking about, and it had one of the Ryans in it. Not Gosling. It was the movie with Sandra Bullock and Betty White. Do you know anything about that movie?
Betty White?
Betty White. They were. She was his boss. He was her. He was her not intern, but like he was her assistant, and he was trying to work to become. He's trying to work his way through the company. It was a movie.
Jamie Foxx. That's the actor.
Oh.
That they did that remake of Annie. It's Sandra Bullock and
right. So anyhow,
that one escapes me.
Right. So anyhow, so I'm doing that, and then someone will say, and then they'll say the movie. Now I can't even think of the name of the movie now. The Proposal was the name of the movie.
Okay.
And the Ryan was Ryan Reynolds. But that's what happens with me is I can't think of it. I can see the guy's name. I can see everything. I started explaining to it. It's like a game show. It's like, is it this? No. Is it that? No. Is it this? No. Is it that?
Yeah.
How about this? And then again, hey, got it. So when you're talking to me, it's like a game show.
I hate when it happens to me. It's like, this is bothering the shit out of me. And then like hours go by and I'm driving home and halfway home, the bell goes off. It's like, that's right. It's like, that's it. So
let me get
to good it's still with me 7 hours later.
You got to give him a call and to give him a call. So anyhow,
text them. Hey,
right. So here's some other ones I liked. Little Shop of Deplorables, Catcher in the Nude. This is my absolute favorite. The Good, the Bad, the Comb Over.
Right.
Right Wing Story. Annie, Get Your Gun Without Proper Background Check.
Right.
Here we go. Oklahoma. Diddler on the Roof. Fondler on the Roof. No Pride, Just Prejudice. And Cracker on a Hot Tin Roof. Mm-hmm. So they were just some of the responses to Pence the Musical.
I've never been to a musical
I wouldn't even
in my life, but from delving into this story, getting ready for this podcast, people that know musicals, like people that, frequent them a lot, one person equated it with Hamilton is to musicals the way most pop music is today, which means it's very, very lacking. Well, it's good for what's out there now, but it's no West Side Story. It's no, Phantom of the Opera. Like when we were in kids and everything, that was like the go-to, and Cats. I mean, Cats ran for how many years?
I did go see Cats.
Did you?
That was the last musical I went to go see.
Yeah, well, that stopped playing in the mid-'90s at some point. So,
dude, I couldn't. I fell asleep during it.
Right. Well, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing.
It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in college, I had to go for music appreciation. You had to go to
Where
opera.
did you go to that? New York?
Philadelphia. They had it in Philadelphia.
Oh, they had a production there. Okay.
Right. So for my music appreciation class, you had to get tickets. You had to go see a classical music. You had to go see an opera, and you had to go see a play. I forget whatever. So you had to bring the ticket stubs in.
And a musical.
So I went to the Academy of the Arts in Philadelphia, and I forget what was playing, but I took a date, first date, and we get in there, and we're watching this thing, and she's like all into it. She thinks it's great. We get all dressed up. I had to wear, she made me wear a tie and a jacket. So we get in there.
Made you at gunpoint, huh?
Yeah, basically. I was like, I'm just going to wear. She goes, what are you going to wear? I go, I don't know. I'm just going to put on, shirt. No. We're going to you can't go dressed like that. You have to wear a jacket and a tie. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
So that's what she said. So we get in there, and halfway through, I'm snoring.
Well, you were the well-dressed sleeping guy.
She's elbowing me, get up, wake up. Oh my God. It was so funny.
We went to see with Don and
Get up.
I don't know if you remember Deborah. Well, I don't see her later. We haven't seen her in forever. She worked at the golf course. Well, her father worked at the golf course. It's a long story.
The golf course.
But it was Diane and I and Don and Deborah. We went and saw Swan Lake at the Academy of Music in Philadelphia.
Wow, that had to be a long, long time ago if Don went.
Well, Don goes pretty often, actually, I think.
Why wouldn't he go with his wife?
Well, that was before he met Denise.
Well, that's how long ago that. They've been married for 20 years.
Almost. I think it'll be 20 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm married 24.
2 decades ago.
I'm coming up on 25. I guess I'm going to have to take her somewhere.
Oh. Do we want to talk about the Trump Cup or are you done with that? We can either talk about the Trump Cup or we can talk about sledding.
Well, I like sledding.
All right. Did you see the picture that I put in the show notes?
Tag someone who would strap into this?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So basically what it is, it's a hood of a car turned upside down and somebody welded a roll cage on there and they put a stock car, racing car.
That's a Recaro seat.
Right. And seat belts. And it says tag somebody would strap into this and it's got chains so it looks like they would tow it in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, wow, I know a ton of people that would do that. That looks like something my dad would have built. Like he would have made that. But then I went and I started thinking, and I remember when I was a kid and I was about 13 or 14, he took a cement, you would mix cement by hand in like a pan. Now they're all made out of plastic, but back in the day, they were made out of real steel.
Yeah, the galvanized aluminum.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he took that and he drilled 2 big holes in it and put some plates in there and some eye bolts and he put a chain on there. And we used to tow it around the backyard in the snow behind the dune buggy.
Right.
There was no roll cage. There was no nothing. We used to drive it around and we used to try to run and jump into it. I mean, I don't know why none of us got hurt. But I thought to myself, that's a picnic compared to what we used to have to get into.
Yeah, they had a roll cage.
Do you?
And seat belts.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see any kids nowadays riding bumpers like we used to.
Well, I was just going to bring that up. You know why?
No.
Because when we were kids, the bumpers were solid pieces of steel protruding welded to their frame. Now they don't have that. They're covered over with polyurethane soft bumpettes, courtesy of the federal government. And if you get like 3 or 4 people on those things, you're going to tear that fucker right off. So... and that's going to be a serious ass whooping. That's why you don't see that no more.
Yeah, we used to go out and we used to jump on the back of a bumper.
Yeah, there'd be 7 or 8 guys on there.
Yeah, you would stop the car.
Yeah.
Not
only that, think about the cars when we grew up. I mean, there was no small car. I mean, they were there, but... Yeah, right. I mean, my dad was the lord of the Grand Marquis. I mean, he had a 75 Mercury Grand Marquis. I learned how to drive in that aircraft carrier. And it was just... I mean, you could get like 7 or 6 or 7 kids like lined up there, just hanging up on there. One time we were bumper latching, and we decided to depart, and Joe's glove like flash froze onto it, so we went to let go.
There goes the glove, and
his glove is frozen like on the bumper, and it's just like driving away. And Joe had to like chase the car down and I just bumped my mic. Sorry, and yeah, that was funny. We used to do it. One time this was not funny. My mother was petrified of driving in the snow. We used to joke that in her last life, she must have been part of the Donner Party and she starved to death in that mountain pass, and, she would just go out and she would hoard food and she was not going out at all once the snow came down.
Well, they still do that now.
Yeah, but my mom was to the extreme with it. She would drive through rain, anything, but when it came to, and the thing is, with Mom, the developments are the only place that's like this. The main highways are clear. She didn't care. She would not go out. So we were in the main drag in our town, and we were bumper latching. And, we get on this car, and the guy knew that we were on there, and we all let go because he's stopping, and he gets out, and this guy's like a Marine. I mean, he's like the clean Marine, and I was, a kid. And, he gets out and he starts yelling at us, and he gets out like typical military. He puts the hat on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, larger than life. And he's like berating us and everything. And I had, I was making a snowball.
I had a feeling there was a snowball coming.
Well, there's always a snowball involved. So I could never make this shot in a dare, okay? He turned around when he was done berating us, and I threw the snowball thinking it was going to hit his open door, hits him right in the back of the friggin' head, knocks the hat right off of him, and now he turns around. He's coming after me. I shit myself, and I'm running, okay? And I would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for those meddling kids and their dogs, but what happened was... This guy, his name was Mr. Spillane. He was shoveling his walk.
Right.
And I was running, and he threw his shovel right in between my legs, and that prick. And I hope he's on fire right now. And he tripped me up. Okay. So now the Marine catches me. So he's like saying, "What's your name?" And I'm not going to talk because that's rule one when you're a kid. You never say who you are.
Yeah, no, you never
so
name
I'm
names.
Like, I'm not telling. So all my buddies and my friends are down the street and they're yelling at, "Don't worry." And they use my real name. We weren't telling your name.
Thanks, guys.
Well, unbeknownst to me, one of my buddies ran home and got a hold of knocked on the door and said, "Some guy's got a hold of,
Yeah.
So I'm standing there and they're trying to question me. And from 3 blocks down the road, here comes my mother, 72 Mercury Grand Marquis, fishtailing around the corner. She's coming up the street. She's going side to side. And then she slams on the brakes. And how she did not hit this guy's Plymouth Duster, I have no idea. But she stopped like maybe a foot short of it. And she gets out. And you want to talk about Mama Bear? That guy didn't know whether to shit or wind his wristwatch. So he turns me loose. I have to get in the car. Now, Joe's still there. He still gets to play.
Mom gets in the car.
Yeah, she takes me home. And I'm like thinking, I am so dead. I'm like thinking I'm so dead now, and it didn't happen. She just like came home. She left the neighbor across the street. They were just there kibitzing, and she just said, "I'll be right back, Floss. I got to take care of this," And then she like just made me drink hot chocolate and eat tomato soup because that's what you did. And I thought I was going to get the ass kicking of a life. I thought she was going to tell my father, and it just like, speaking of like, now it's Thanksgiving week. Do you have any like witty? I mean, I'm sure you do. I mean, it's
witty. Yeah.
I mean, Thanksgiving stories with your father, because there's a Genghis story of Thanksgiving. It's kind of legendary in the family. How about you?
Well, the thing about Thanksgiving with us was we used to always go over to my aunt and uncle's house for Thanksgiving.
Right.
And so there wasn't really much for that. But what happened was Christmas Eve used to be the event that was always at our house. We always had everybody over Christmas Eve. And I remember one time, this was back when they first started. This was, for turkey frying wasn't even a thing. Okay.
Oh, the deep fried turkey.
The deep fried turkeys. Yeah. And somehow my father had heard about a deep fried turkey. So he was going to deep fry a turkey.
So this could have been a YouTube video?
Oh, I'm telling you, if we had video cameras back when we were growing up, it's just what these kids are doing today was nothing. So anyhow, and again, my father, he always builds things. He was, there was always something that he would build this. So it wasn't big. It wasn't good enough that he would have this thing, but he basically had, it was like a flamethrower hooked to a grate. And when I mean by grate, I mean like a sheet. It was like a torch, but it was like a big giant torch, and he had it held there, and it was like a grate that you got from the street. The thing was like, the thing that with the water would go down. What's that? Storm grate? It was a storm grate that he had. Yeah. And he had that like on 4 or 5 cinder blocks, and he had this thing underneath there, and he had this big giant pot of hot oil. And he's heating this thing up. So now it's time to put the turkey in. So he goes out with the turkey on a pole with a rope. because he doesn't get too close with it. Now, what I mean by a pole, I mean like a clothes pole. You know, back in the day, you used to have like a clothes pole. When you
Oh,
put
the aluminum pole?
So he's got so he's got the turkey on the end, and he starts putting it out, like he's like moving it out to put it in the pot.
Right.
Well, the thing gets out so far. Well, I don't know what he was thinking, because it's not a solid aluminum pole. It's hollow. It's like a piece of conduit. The thing kinks, goes down, hits the edge of the pot, knocks the pot over into the flamethrower. He lets go of the turkey. The turkey hits the ground, right? Now he's running because there's this big, and when I'm saying,
Oh, it's like a huge oil slick.
it's like a mushroom cloud is going into the air. Black mushroom cloud is going into the air. So he's afraid that the tank's going to blow. So he runs over, he turns the tank off. And that basically kind of, the fire was just like a big woof. And then once you turned the flame off, it stopped. So I'm like, as a kid, couldn't have been no more than 14. I wasn't driving. I was about 14 years old. So now I'm sitting there and I'm like, Dad, are you okay? So he's over there. He's got the turkey. Now, what do you think he does? He pulls the turkey back because it's on a cable, like a metal cable.
Yeah.
And he's hitting it with his hand. And I said, you don't think any of us are going to eat that, do you? Ain't nothing wrong with that bird.
He was very thrifty.
He brought that in and put it in the oven. Nobody ate it. He ate it.
Well, yeah, they witnessed the crime. Why would you eat that?
Deuce, I'm telling you, when that flame went up in the air, when that flame went up with the smoke and the black, and it was dark. It was dark
It's
out.
loud, too, when that happens. An oil fire is, like, terrifying.
And when it went up in the air and curled around, it was like where you're like scared, but you're like, ooh, ah. Well, he went skirting around. Now, I'm trying to think. So if I'm 15 or 14, that means he's like 34.
Old enough to know better.
Yeah. He used to do crap like that all the time. But I just remember he's like sticking it out, and I'm thinking to myself, what if that pole kinks? And with that, it kinks and hits the edge of the pan, and I hear, all I hear is go, fuck. And
The international sound of dismay. Fuck.
yeah, so just nothing big, just a grease fire.
Well, one year, my brother Mike, he's the youngest. He was always the quietest out of the three of us.
Still is.
He was actually, yeah, still is. And he was actually a very well-behaved kid. So Mike is 8 years younger than me. So he's 7 years younger than Joe. I don't know why, this one particular Thanksgiving, he just woke up and he had him twisted. I mean, he was just, I don't know why, he was just miserable, and he was talking back. I mean, he was like maybe 4 or 5 years old. He was just in a rammy mood, which was really unlike him at the time. So my mother's like fed up. My father's getting fed up. And my mother finally says, you better do something about that. So my father gets up, to administer justice. And by this time, Genghis was like 38. His running days are behind them. You're not going to catch a 4 or 5 year old kid. So there's this big giant chase going around the dining room table. Like as Mike's running, like you hear the china closet like rattling, like you hear everything in there like rattling and stuff. And he's smart. He's staying opposite of my father at the table and everything. And then my mother came and he scampered under the table, and he's like, it was actually pretty funny. Me and Joe are laughing. So he finally says, I'm the Roadrunner, and you're Wile E. Coyote, and Wile E. Coyote never catches the Roadrunner. So then Genghis like really makes a lunge for him, but Mike gets away, and he like, yeah, he laid low. Yeah. He was just like, he just didn't stay around. He like. So now about 3 or 4 hours later, the house is smelling like turkey. You're hungry and everything. And my father's sitting on the couch and he's reading the newspaper. And Mike came out and he started like playing like with his toys or something. And I could tell my father was like
laying in wait,
quivering with anticipation because the newspaper was like visibly shaking. Like he was just waiting for him to get closer and closer. And the next thing we know, in one fluid moment, the newspaper got flung to the side and went, aha, you son of a bitch, you didn't think I was going to get you. and he knocked the shit out of Michael. It was just like, but what was funny was between Michael taunting him. Oh, it's like, that chase around a dining room table was about a 5-minute chase.
Hey, you little bastard! Now who's funny?
Ha ha! Now who's laughing?
Roadrunner! Beep, beep. Beep, beep now, kid.
Yeah. I remember when I found out I could run faster than my father, and I was like so ecstatic and happy.
Sorry, go ahead.
He was coming after me, and I'm like running away from. We're outside, and I look over, and he's receding. I'm like, "Oh, this is great! I could run faster than Dad." And then about 30 seconds later, it dawned on me, "Oh shit, I gotta go home, and that's where Dad lives." So I just waited, and I was out of the house for hours, and eventually I said, "Well, I gotta go home." And I would have been better off if he had just let him catch me in the first place, because
I had the same thing happen. Was my dad was working on the house, and he took and moved we had motorcycles and bicycles, and he moved them all into the pool area, and he put a plastic covering over top of them.
Yeah.
And listen, if I do something wrong, I'll admit that I did something wrong. But if I didn't do something wrong, fuck you. I'm not admitting it.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not taking the fall for
I'm not
this.
taking the fall for it. So I don't know what happened, but the plastic was off the bikes. So he goes, "Would you take the plastic off the bikes?" I said, "No." He goes, "Well, who took them off?" I said, "Oh, well, I don't know who took it off, but I didn't." So he's like, "Well, what do you think? I'm stupid?" I go, "Well, I just, right now, yes." Well, with that, he took off after me, right? Mm-hmm. So I go running out of the pool area and then out of the backyard, and we had this dirt road with real soft dirt. Mm-hmm. And I'm running, same thing. I figure he's going to catch me, right? So I'm running. I look, and he's behind me. I got about maybe 100 yards on him, because exactly, I took off. And listen, I'm not fast by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm no distance runner by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm not letting him catch me because he's past. So I run down the dirt road a ways. I cut through 2 neighbors' yards, and I go down the street. And I go running down the street, and I'm like, okay, I lost him. And I start to stop, and all of a sudden, here he comes around the corner. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I go running down. I go running into my buddy Dave's house, and they got a garage. So I run into the garage, and there's a way to climb up and get up in the rafters of his garage and get into the thing, like an attic.
Crawl space.
Yeah, crawl space there. Yeah. So I run up, and I get into the crawl space. And here comes my dad, and I hear him. He's knocking on the door. "Is John here?" And they're like, "No, John's not here." He goes, "He came up here. You didn't see him?" "No, I didn't see him." So he's looking around. So they go in the garage, and I'm up there. And I'm like, my heart's pounding.
Breathing real hard.
I'm like I'm holding my breath. I'm not trying. Yeah. And he's looking around. Finally, he leaves. I'm like, whew. So he leaves. I'm watching. I can't see him. So finally, I'm looking at the little air vent at the A part of the garage.
Oh, the louver vent.
The louver vent. I'm looking. I see him walk up the street. So I climb down, and I walk up, and I never knock. You just walk in, and I go in, and he goes, "Hey, your dad's looking for you." I said, "Oh, I know he's looking for me. I was hiding in the rafters of the garage. Can I borrow your phone?" So they go, "Yeah." So now my mom was working at the ice cream parlor. So I call the ice cream parlor, and I go, "Mom, I can't get home. Dad's going to kill me." So she goes, "All right, stay there. I'll come home and get him." So she called my father at the house. And my dad says, "Where is he?" And my mom wouldn't tell. Because if my mom told him, he'd have drove right back down there and got me.
Right. So, and then it would have been worse.
Right. So my mom came, picked me up, said, "All right, I'm going to go in the house. Don't come in until I tell you to." So my mom came in and said, "You're not going to touch him." So, I came in. I didn't get an ass whooping. But it was the first time that I ever outran my father.
I locked myself in the bathroom downstairs for hours. Till my father went to work.
Really? That wouldn't have worked.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you the story when I ran. I tell you the story about locking the door. I got a bad. I was getting we were picking classes, and he wanted me to. He was like, "Oh, he'll take physics." I'm like, "I'm not taking physics." He's like, "He'll take biology." I'm like, "I'm not taking biology." He says, "You'll take what I tell you." I go, "Well, then you go to school." And I go running up the steps. Well, I heard him coming up the steps behind me. I came in. I locked the door. He kicked the door with, how the police kick it in?
Yeah.
Hit me right in the square in the forehead, man. Pow. Down I went. He whooped my ass.
Oh.
"You'll take what I say you'll take, and you'll like it. And you better not get any bad grades."
Well, one time, we had a powder room downstairs, and when I locked myself in, I said something smart or something, and I heard him coming down the. You've seen Joe lives there now. It's the bi-level, okay, and he starts thundering down the steps. So I had not a second to spare. I got in that door and I locked the door. Open this door. Oh, okay. You know you're going to get your ass kicked, so why would I open the door? Parents are so stupid. That's the first thing they yell. Open this door. No. You open this door. And he says, he's like, you got to come out of there sometime. And I don't know why I said this. No, I don't know. I got running water in the toilet. I could last in here quite a while. Well, this is like 11:30, 12 o'clock at noon. He didn't go to work till 5 because, so I had to sit in that goddamn powder room for hours until he went to work.
You stayed in there that long?
Oh, damn right I stayed in there that long.
See,
Joe did that with my mother. He was in there, but see, Joe, and until this day, he still has to have the last word. So he ran into that bathroom, the powder room, locked the door, and my mom's doing the same thing. Open this door, and he's like, Joe's behind the door like, what are you going to do now, you idiot? Open this door. Stupid. Well, my mother went in and she got a hammer and a screwdriver and she's pounding the pins out of the hinges.
Oh, no.
And then the whole time Joe's like going, Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it, Mom. I didn't mean it. Well, he got away. As she was wrestling that door off, he squirted through the gap. Up the stairs, out the front door, and that was it, but it was always a lot of fun to watch when you weren't the one that was going to get your ass kicked.
Exactly.
It was like, he's going to get it now. Sometimes there was my bedroom door that I had, there was this doorknob didn't fit snug. And all you had to do was get a butter knife, put it in there. Me and Joe could pick the lock like in a minute. Right. Like not even a minute, like a second. Like we knew where the sweet spot was, and the door would open up. And it sucked because you would be pressed into service. So like if Joe locked himself in that room, my mother would get here and open his lock up. Bleep that out. Get up
here. They didn't call you Deuce?
No. So, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it because I don't want to open the door and it's like ratting your brother out. And then they would say, if you don't open this door, you're going to get his beating. It's like, sorry, Joe.
Sorry, Joe.
But it went the same way. If I was locked in there, they would ask Joe to open the door and everything. So, it was like, it was, you knew you were going to get a beating. You were going to get justice. Right. You can't, they're just like fun. I look back on it now and I earned every one of those beatings. At the time, I didn't think it like, oh, life is so unfair. And they're so mean. And then I look back, man, I was a little bastard, but I earned every one of those beatings.
Oh, my mom was a big hair puller.
Oh, I think that's a mom thing. If they're not hitting you with the hairbrush, they're pulling your hair out of your head.
So you didn't have a safe space in your home where you would go?
No, you get your ass kicked. And then you got punished for a week, possibly 2, And there's, that was just the way it was, Just
no safe space where you could go to where if you're...
No timeout. At my house, it was timeout for a beating. That's what it was. There's no timeout. Timeout my ass.
Wait a minute. Don't I get a timeout? Yeah, here it is.
Right, exactly. Timeout.
Oh, timeout.
Yeah, I was like,
because I don't intend to go through that hell again.
Oh my goodness.
Those are the good old days. But
that
was one of our more memorable Thanksgivings with Genghis trying to catch Michael. He did it.
I'm the road runner.
It was like camouflage. He was behind that newspaper. He just didn't. I guess he just blended right into the wall. Michael didn't see him. I don't know.
That's too funny.
Them's the days.
All right, folks. Well, that's all the fun we have for you today. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you hanging out with us, and we would love to know what you think. If there was any point in the show we said something that you want your input in, you want to follow us on social media.
Or you're offended by.
Or offended by, whatever. Pick the social media platform of your choice, except LinkedIn. We don't do LinkedIn. It's a very pretentious platform, that LinkedIn. Like I said, they should name it Nerd Book. All right. So, just go to that social media platform that you like and hook us up. And the way you can do that is go to thebrandxpodcast.com/contact. And our information is over there. And just click the link and follow us. And that's that easy. So come on back next week for another episode of the Brand X Podcast.
And have a happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. It's Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Of course, when this airs, it'll be the day after. So we hope you enjoyed your happy Thanksgiving and you didn't get an ass kicking from your parents.
Hey, you never know. My finger might slip again.
Yeah, you're out of control.